Amazon has put investors on a roller coaster ride in 2025. It started the year jumping to over $240 a share before crashing down to $170 a share, and now it's rising back up again, trading at $226 a share as of this recording. But what I'm going to do in this video is make my stock price prediction for Amazon by the end of 2026. Where do I think Amazon stock price will be by the end of next year? And of course, to make that Amazon stock price prediction, I'm going to make several estimates and assumptions because nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. We have to make our best estimates. I'm going to share with you precisely where I'm getting all of these numbers and all of the estimates so you can determine yourself if whether my price prediction is too optimistic, too pessimistic, or right on point. But before we get into the meat of the video, I wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, Fiscal.ai. They are my primary data gathering source. They aggregate a lot of financial information and they create new information that's unavailable anywhere else. Most notably, they collect sector-specific information on companies. For instance, the chart I have pulled up here for Amazon aggregates or disaggregates the company's revenue between total revenue in the blue, and then I can see as a percentage Amazon Web Services revenue, which is the company's most important segment. And then also, I'm curious about the company's advertising business because that's also a lucrative profit margin business. I can see here those three business categories all in one chart here. It saves me a lot of time and it provides insights that's unavailable anywhere else. I haven't been able to find this kind of information anywhere else. So if you're interested in this kind of research, there's a link in my description. You'll get a discount if you use my link. So let's get to the meat of the video, which is the stock price prediction. Now, again, I get my numbers from Fiscal.ai, and what I have here is the Wall Street Analyst and their estimates for where they believe Amazon's earnings per share will be in 2027. So the analysts that are following Amazon stock, they predict that the company will generate $9 in earnings per share in 2027. That's the number I'm going to use because I'm going to use the forward price to earnings ratio, which I'll get to in just a little moment. And if I'm using the forward price to earnings ratio to make a stock price prediction in 2026, I need the earnings per share 1 year ahead, which is 2027. And that's the number I'm using and why I'm using that number. Okay, I mentioned the forward price to earnings ratio, and I've pulled up a chart here from Fiscal AI that's showing me the calculation for Amazon's forward price to earnings ratio. It's currently at 35.79. So I'm going to use this number in conjunction with the earnings per share estimate to make a stock price prediction for Amazon stock in 2026. So I have pulled up here my scenario analysis for Amazon share price for 2026. So over here, 2027 earnings per share estimate of $9. You saw where I retrieved that from Fiscal.ai and the Wall Street Analyst estimate for the company's earnings per share in 2027. Here I have the forward price to earnings ratio of 36. I also have three other scenarios for Amazon stock and where the forward PE could be by the end of next year. I'm forecasting its its forward PE will decline next year as a result of the company's continued difficulty managing the tariffs that will impact Amazon's business, and we will begin to see the impacts of those tariffs on Amazon's business. The company sources a large percentage of the products on the e-commerce platform. Its third-party sellers source a lot of those products from China, which is hit with the largest tariffs above 50% and above. Also, the company will have to mitigate some of those increases in the tariffs by decreasing some of the product availability, potentially raising prices on customers, and potentially decreasing inventory availability. So that headwind I expect will bring down Amazon's forward PE multiple. If the forward PE multiple were to stay the same at 36 and the earnings per share remains on target at $9, the stock price could rise all the way up to $324 per share. But if the forward PE declines to 34 as I predict, then the share price could still rise to $306 a share, which would be a nice increase from the current $226 a share. I don't think any Amazon stock investors will complain if Amazon share price ends 2026 at 306. If the forward PE were to decline further to 32, the share price I'm still estimating will increase as a result of the earnings increase to 288. If the forward PE should decline to 30, then the share price will still increase to 270. Now, in every scenario I've forecasted here, I'm seeing Amazon's share price rising from the current price of 226. That doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to go up. It just means these are the most likely scenarios that I estimate. There are other scenarios that are less likely, but there is still a non-zero percentage chance of these scenarios occurring and Amazon share price falling. I just don't see them as very likely, but there's still a greater than 0% chance of their probability of Amazon share price falling next year. There's always the risk of that happening. If anybody tells you otherwise, you need to run away from that individual because they're misleading you, and they're misleading you about the risks of making investments in stocks. There's always a chance that the stock price will go down, even in the cases where you're most bullish about the investment, as I am with Amazon, right? Amazon, I have rated as one of the best 9 stocks to buy right now. But I still acknowledge the fact that there's risks to the downside, and there's a risk that the share price could decrease. So all that being said, where do I think the stock price ends 2026? Where do I see the most likely outcome here? I predict the share price will be between $290 and $310 per share by the end of next year, falling in the forward price to earnings ratio of between 32 and 34 in that range. So I'm not forecasting a big decrease in the company's forward PE ratio, only a slight decrease in the forward PE ratio because it still has powerful tailwinds resulting in the growth of its AWS segment and the advertising business, as I shared with you earlier. Those forces will offset the downside from the tariffs, which will be more powerful. Although overall, I still show a small decrease in the company's forward PE ratio. As I mentioned, I have Amazon rated as one of the top 9 stocks to buy right now. And here you can see my price target update of $290 to $310 a share. And I updated that estimate today, July 15th. Of course, members of my channel at the investor tier and above have access to this spreadsheet where I have buy, hold, and sell recommendations for over 200 companies and stock price targets for many companies as well. Also, as a result of joining my channel at the investor tier, you'll get access to my discounted cash flow valuation models for over 200 companies as well. These are the discounted cash flow valuation models that calculate an intrinsic value per share for each of these businesses, and I have hundreds of these calculations as well, all for less than $15 a month. So I'm curious what you think about my Amazon stock price prediction. Do you think I'm on point here between 290 and 310? Do you think I'm too optimistic, or do you think I'm too pessimistic? But more interestingly than just your estimate of whether you think I'm too bullish or too bearish, I'm curious to hear your reasoning, why you think I'm too bullish or too bearish. Is it because I'm not accounting for enough of the risks from tariff and I'm being too bullish? Or am I not accounting for all of the benefits from artificial intelligence and the AWS segment, and therefore I'm not being bullish enough on Amazon stock? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And of course, I read every single comment. Even if I don't respond to every comment, I read every comment on my channel. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Comment below, please.